like. In my last cigarette, I'ma treat you 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 like.
Hope it don't end the same way. About to start another day.
I'ma treat you like. In my last cigarette,
About to start another day. Hope it don't end the same way. About to start another day. Hope it don't end the same way. About to start another day.
I'ma treat you like. In my last cigarette,
About to start another day.
I'ma treat you like. In my last cigarette,
About to start another day.
I'ma treat you like. In my last cigarette, 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 I'ma treat you like.
Hope it don't end the same way.
What is up, man? We are back. In Black in the building, man. Shout out to everybody out there, man. Roll call. Did Jesus come back? Damn. I'm pretty sure it's a nigga at Sunday school right now using religion as an insurance policy. Just in case it's real, I'ma go. Shout out to everybody out there at the Core Plantation doing what they need to do to survive. Shout out to everybody out there handling business. Man, we about to go down to it, man. Shout out to the homegirls, Time is Tanya in Arizona. Shout out to everybody out there. Everybody out there, United States of America Incorporated, doing what they need to do. Or if you're at the Core Plantation, hey, man, I ain't got nothing but love and respect for you. Man, shout out to all my people in Vegas, siblings, everybody out there, the homegirl Jerica. You already know what it is. Jerica, what's happening? Man, and my siblings, man, they all out there. Hey, man. Man, they just, look, we got to go to work. Shit. Shout out to the homegirl, Nuke. The OG, the original member of this podcast. No, I don't know. Shout out to Sister Cobweb, a.k.a. Roxanne, a.k.a. Sister Cobweb. Oh, man. Shout out to my boys. Before I mention them, shout out to the homegirl. Man, been with us since the beginning. The two, Shawnee from Philly. Philly in the building, stand up. Erica, Florida in the building, stand up. Erica, Shawnee, they've been with us since the beginning. Hell, they was the only one listening to the podcast when me and Nuke was doing it. Shit, so shout out to Erica and Shawnee. Hey, shout out to my brothers, David for No Compromise. And my brother, James Youngblood, man, we got to get together. Man, we got a whole shit. We got a plethora of shit to talk about, man. For real, for real, for real. And shout out to the homegirl, Melina, North Carolina, a.k.a. North Kakalaka. She from where that boy J. Cole just dropped the bomb on that new album, man. Y'all need to go check that out. But anyway, man, we about to get into it. What is ode to FBA? Let's get into it. Hey.
Hope it don't end the same way. About to start another day. Hope it don't
Man. I got something that, look, this is a little different. We ain't gonna talk, look. I know we got the stuff going on with Diddy and they going after his son and all. I know, but we ain't gonna just keep talking about Diddy over and over and over again. You know, some people may agree with, you know, what the FBI is doing to Diddy, and some people may not agree. It is what it is, man. All I'm saying is sometimes you gotta know how to stand with your people in public and then disagree with them in private, because that's what the dominant society does. Because you notice they will use us as a tool. Then when they're done with us, they'll break us, like Erica has said, Shawnee has said it, Dave from No Compromise, James Youngblood. Everybody that know me or listens to me or we listen to similar podcasts, they have a tendency of doing that. They want black folk to go up. See, they want black folk to cancel Diddy. So then they can go in there and do what the fuck they want to do, because they don't want no public outcry as well. But this is what it is. You know, I decided to do this podcast because I was reading, I got the audio. There's a plethora of reasons why we are owed reparations and what is owed to us, I would say. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because there was a story a couple of years ago. Y'all need to go watch it. It's about Kendrick Johnson. His mother was on several podcasts when this first took place. This brother got into it with these white kids at the school in Georgia. I don't know if it's Buford, Georgia or whatever. And these boys' dad was an FBI agent. So the brother Kendrick Johnson, you know, he beat up one of the sons, and then after that he was found dead and wrapped up in a wrestling mat. And then when he went to the goddamn coroner, all his goddamn organs were gone. So we have to understand this. And the reason we're like, where are you going with this, my brother? Nigga, what are you talking about? The reason why is because I've heard several people mention this and talk about this, and I believe it to be true after you read this book called Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington about organ harvesting. And they know that's why they always want to get you to donate your organs and all that, because we have the best, strongest organs. See, we have melanin. So that's in our DNA, so we could naturally heal ourselves like all our great herbalists or herbologists have talked about. The Dr. Layla Africas and the Tahuti Ma'at Raz and the Dr. Savies of the world and the Dr. Phil Valentines and Professor Griffiths, all of them, they've said the same thing about how our body could heal. You know, it could definitely heal itself if you eat the right things and stay away from the wrong things. Excuse me. And you're like, Warren, where are you going? Just bear with me. These are the reasons why we are owed certain things. If you read this book, Medical Apartheid, oh my God, all the things that they were doing to us. And you got to read this book, a Price for a Pound of Flesh, how they were just robbing graves. The dominant society was robbing graves to take the organs out of black folk so they could study them, so they can see why are we stronger, faster, smarter. Those type of things. We're owed that because the dominant society wouldn't like it if we was digging up their graves and studying their people and taking their organs out. This is just, I'm going to give you a different perspective of why we're owed what we're owed. You know, they treated us like animals. As I've heard Dave from No Compromise say so many times, you know, a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. So when you talk about what is owed, we can go from point to point to point. We've discussed the economic deprivations and the gentrifications and the redlining. So now let's discuss it from a different perspective. Organ harvesting. Or how about if we need an organ, when we're put on the goddamn transplant donor list, how long does it take us? Have you seen the movie John Q? How long does it take us versus does it take the dominant society to get an organ? These are reasons why we need reparations, so we can have our own caste system of organ pools that we can pull from that can help us. You know what I mean? Our own set of hospitals, our own set of doctors, our own set of everything. I don't think that the dominant society would disagree. I'm talking about confident dominant society people. They wouldn't disagree. They'd be like, they should have their own shit. Think about it. If everybody had their own cast of organs they could pull from in their own hospitals and their own doctors, I'm talking about every racial group. If it was set up that way, I think it would be more harmony. And the reason why I would say that is because it would be less wear and tear on doctors just treating everyone. If you're a nephrologist or, you know, any type of specialty doctor and you're only seeing, let's say you're a foundational Black American and you're only seeing foundational Black Americans, I just think it would be easier in my perspective and it would be more cost effective. You know what I mean? Imagine your kid needs a kidney and he has a specialty doctor and that specialty doctor is a foundational Black American and you have a pool of organs from foundational Black Americans. Just imagine how that would be. We can only get to there if we have reparations so we can build up that system. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it would be, to me, more cost effective if we had our own pool of doctors, our own hospitals. I'm just saying, think about that. You know, we've already talked about it from a financial stability standpoint, like, hey, our own banks and all that. We've discussed that, but let's discuss it in a different realm. And I got some audio that I want to play y'all so y'all can understand exactly what I'm talking about. So bear with me, and we about to play this right now.
April is National Donate Life Month, and for people waiting on a transplant list, organ donation is critical. But imagine struggling to even get on a list because of a test that's biased against you because
And I really want y'all to pay attention to this right here.
you're black. Jasmine Evans says that was her experience. She was first put on a kidney transplant list in 2019, but she learned last year that she should have been placed on the list 4 years earlier.
So why do you think that was done? This is why I'm saying what is owed to us.
You see, the formula used to evaluate a patient's health routinely underestimated the severity of kidney disease for black patients. And last year, UNOS, the nonprofit that manages organ transplants in the U.S., advised hospitals to stop using that test. The National Institutes of Health found that white patients were twice as likely as black patients to be rated as appropriate candidates for organ transplants. Joining me now is Jasmine Evans. Jasmine, good morning to you. When you received a letter and you saw the 2019 eligibility date when you were actually put on the list and the 2015 date when you should have been put on that list, what went through your mind?
At first, I was very shocked. I was outraged
As you should be outraged, because remember, this is their system and it's called the illusion of inclusion. Oh, we're going to put you on the list. Yeah, we're going to definitely put you on the list. Just to let you guys know, David Rockefeller had like 5 heart transplants. How does that work?
a mid-20-year-old. I just thought that, a big chunk of my life was really taken from me. And so I went to TikTok and basically expressed my outrage on something like this that was happening.
A committee member of the organization that runs the Donation and Transplant Network said this: so many African Americans have been affected by the use of race-inclusive calculations and have become very ill or have died waiting for the opportunity to list for a kidney transplant.
Yeah, did y'all just hear that? And this is why I'm doing this today. And this is why we're going to talk about what is owed to foundational Black Americans and what we go through on a daily basis dealing with this system of racism, white supremacy. And if you're not establishing a system of justice, then it's called the four-wall effect that Neely Fuller Jr. talks about.
Thousands have been modified on this list since this rule change. What would those 4 years have meant for your quality of life, for mental health?
I think it would have meant everything. During the time that I went on the transplant list and I started dialysis around the same time too, I was also entering into my PhD program. That added a lot of extra stress.
Did y'all hear this? This sister is entering the PhD program while being on dialysis. That's why Dr. Claude Anderson, and I quote it, says, "We are a special people. We're a peculiar people. We're special. We're different from everybody else. And everybody else knows it, just we don't know it sometimes." Now, you find me people that's going to go to college and they on dialysis. Stop.
It added a lot of extra time, especially having bad symptom days and things of that nature. Also, just kind of this thought process of, will I die waiting for a transplant? I've known many stories of this happening, whether it was within my own community or within the transplant community. So even having to deal with this issue of mortality at a very young age, it was very stressful. And I definitely had bouts of depression and things of that nature. And so I think being able to have those years back, not having that stress of if I'm going to even wake up the next morning, I think that the overall quality of my life would have been a complete 180.
Before you received that letter, what did your doctors tell you, if anything, about how your race played into where you would be eligible or when you would be eligible to go on to the list for a transplant?
I actually was not told anything at all. Luckily, with my academic background for my master's thesis, I studied scientific racism and medical racism.
Boom. She's already studying, y'all. What has the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to do? This ain't got nothing to do with you being from the Nation of Islam or being of Islamic faith. What did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tell us to do? What did he tell us? He told us, study the white man. You better study him because you're going to learn a thing or two.
So that prompted me to go back and look at my charts and look at different tests. And I noticed that there was a difference between the GFR and the GFRE. So I did my own due diligence to really see what was happening. And then once ever I brought my findings back to see that race was actually calculated, my doctors then confirmed that this was something that was happening. So I could only imagine what was also happening to the thousands of Black Americans that didn't necessarily.
Shout out to this sister. Shout out thousands of Black Americans. Not everybody else, not Asians, not Jamaicans, not South Africans. We talking about Black Americans, foundational Black Americans who built this country for free without a repayment. This is why I'm doing this subject today. This is why I'm talking about this today. Because we got all these other factors, but we have not touched the most serious factor, organs, organ harvesting. Putting the organs at the top of the list for the dominant society, then the Black folk, you get to the end of the line when y'all really stealing the organs from us. But I digress.
Necessarily know to do that research on their own.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about on this show, and I don't think we in society talk enough about how this or examples, similar situations like this, impact trust and confidence in the medical institutions.
That's why I always encourage everybody to go read Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington. I'm going to say it one more time. Read the book Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington. I would suggest you read it during the daytime and don't read it at night. Because if you think those movies like Hostel and all those movies, you think those movies are scary, read this book.
And when Black people and people of color go into doctors' offices, how has this this moment, this recalculation impacted your degree of trust?
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, we can even talk about historically, right? Like all of these barriers that have been put into place to where the Black community does not feel comfortable going to doctors' offices or even going to get routine physicals that could basically catch a lot of these preventable diseases. For me, I will say that the work that UNOS and OPTN are doing right now does give us a glimmer of hope that there are people out there that are pushing the needle on change and equity within the healthcare system. But I'm also sobered to remember that we still have a very long way to go. There are still thousands of Black Americans that are waiting for organs across the board, not just exclusively to kidney transplants. And so I think that we need to keep using our voices. Think that we need to keep holding our doctors and our physicians accountable for the work that they are doing, and so that they could also uphold their own oaths to do no harm to the patients in front of them, no matter their race or creed.
So you've received the kidney. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. My kidney is working perfectly fine.
Good. Shout out to that sister. Jasmine Evans. Shout out to Jasmine Evans. Let's get the music going. This is why I wanted to do it, man. We look, the Diddy, the R. Kelly, all that is just a little fraction of what we deal with and what we've been dealing with since the dominant society has came to this country and destroyed it and did what the fuck they wanted to do with it. Now look, as we talk about what we are owed, y'all need to stop trying to convince dominant society people and all these other racial groups what we are owed. Fuck all that. We know what we're owed. You discuss that amongst your people and your community, meaning foundational Black Americans and your parents. And you have those discussions with your family. Stop going around trying to convince every dominant society or Latino they don't give a fuck. And quite frankly, I don't blame them because it ain't their job. We don't got no allies when it comes to what is owed to us. So let people think what the fuck they want to think. I don't care who they are. I don't care how nice you are or how cool you are. We have to understand where we stand in this United States of America Incorporated. You gotta have the confidence in you. You can't expect other people to have confidence in you. You ain't got confidence in you. You can't think that people are gonna want the best for you. Those are their, look, racial groups that are not foundational Black Americans, they're gonna want what's best for their racial group. So we gotta stop thinking that everybody's gonna want the best for our racial group. We need to know what's best for our racial group. That's why you hear me telling everybody, hey, what do you think? Some people might not want to stand with Puff Daddy. Some people feel like he asshole, he this and he that. But let me tell you something. When you juxtapose shit, you in that hot chair, you're going to want somebody to stand with you. Sometimes it's about disagreeing in private and standing together in public. And let's have these conversations about what is owed to us. See, it isn't just, just give us money for slavery. That is a big, significant part of it. But look at all these racial barriers that are put in place to keep us behind the line. Like doing these tests. And, white folk are twice is common for them to get a organ, but black folk is 9%. Well, why the fuck is that the case? That's because of those racial barriers that are put in place on purpose to keep us as a permanent underclass, as Dr. Clark Anderson talks about. That's done by design. That's not done by coincidence. And these are the things that's why when you, shout out to my brother David No Compromise, when you go into church, those are things you should be talking about. I don't mind it. Look, if the pastor want to talk about the Bible all day. But within talking about the Bible, you better make it relatable so foundational Black Americans could know how these social game rules are applied to us every single day. We have to understand that. And the reason why we have to understand that is because in this time that we have and we're dealing with right now, it's too much information out there that is pliable to what your specific struggle is with your racial group. Why do you think I keep saying we got to stand with each other? Stop waiting for everybody else to take up the burden. And look, anybody can march with you and Black Lives Matter. Anybody can do all that. And then they can still go home to their suburban houses and still say nigga, nigga, nigga all day long. That doesn't mean anything. I'm talking about what are we doing? Foundational Black Americans, what are we doing to protect the code that we're trying to establish? Stop doing the fourth wall effect and getting together with each other to bitch and complain about shit without having no type of solutions within your family structure. And two, we got to start listening to each other. We have to start listening. If you think your plan is working, there's nothing wrong with that. But if somebody has a different vision for your plan, I'm not saying stop your plan and listen. Keep what your plan is and keep it moving, but always add to the plan. That's all. You just add to the plan. We have to open up our minds and our hearts to listen to each other too, so we can, to me, have a more positive outcome. Because think about it. You know how many black folk on a donors list and can't get a kidney because they way behind the list because all these dominant society people are ahead of us and every other racial group is ahead of us? But imagine if we got reparations, we can start our own donor list with our own fucking people. Our own foundational Black American doctors. And any other racial group that wants to come among us and practice, you will be vetted out by black doctors and your money will not be accepted. Imagine if we did that. Imagine if we had that type of outlook on life. We're not gonna move the needle forward unless we start learning how to be on code with each other, man. That's why I wanted to bring a different perspective of what is owed to us, because look, it isn't just one faction of it. Man, we have a duplicitous of different type of perspectives of why reparations should be paid. And it is not your job to identify and explain to every other racial group why. Who gives a fuck? If they bring it your way and it's not at the fucking workplace and it's not nowhere where it's gonna turn into a goddamn shit show display, then that's when you can say, well, I read different books that disagree. And if people are like, well, why? You weren't there, you weren't in slavery. You know what you should say? Well, the Jewish community that's here today wasn't there during the Holocaust, but they still received reparations and they still received, different set-asides for what was done to their racial group. So what makes them different from us? And that didn't even take place in the United States of America. That took place in Europe. But we still show respect. We still have Holocaust museums in the United States of America, all over the United States of America. As we should, because what happened to them was an atrocity. And we show respect to that. Now, why is it when it comes to slavery, all of a sudden that was so fucking long ago, you wasn't there, but y'all benefiting off of it though? Benjamin Franklin and Abraham Lincoln and all those other people that are on that dollar, they all their families are still benefiting from that. So why is it when we ask for what is owed to us, it's a problem? That's all you got to say. And if they're like, yeah, but well, okay, we just have to agree to disagree. We have to agree to disagree. But man, when it becomes a shouting match, let me tell you something. Most white people, along with other racial groups, they ain't read shit. They don't know shit and they ain't read shit. I've been around a whole bunch of them that ain't read nothing. I've been at corporate plantations and they want to have all these books propped up in their office like they didn't read all these books. I remember a big time manager, director, whatever the fuck his name was, like, oh man, you looking at my books? He's like, yeah, I got some books you can read. And I said, I have plenty that you can read as well. And that person knew I was an avid reader at the time, and I was reading a lot of books, so he didn't want to say nothing, because I was reading books about life. I wasn't just reading books about a false sense of reality. You know those dumbass books that the dominant society at the corporate plantation reading, how to have better managing skills and all this. Man, get the fuck out of here. Please, you white America, you don't need no management skills. You go do black tar heroin in the bathroom and come out and be everybody boss, and every other white person will go along with that shit because they own code. Because you know why? Because Warren was in a situation where he worked at a corporate plantation and the supervisor was doing black tar heroin drugs in the bathroom and nobody said shit. And I was the main one, like, damn, ain't nobody gonna say shit. But if it was a black person, y'all would all threw his ass under the bus. So I've seen it before. So when y'all hear me talking about this shit, this ain't some shit that I made up. This is shit that really took place and happened. Don't get into that. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your white friend. Don't get into no back and forth and feel like, oh my God, they got to see it. They ain't gonna see it your way because they don't care. Stop wanting them to care about your struggle. As long as you care about your struggle is what matters. Who gives a fuck about these other racial groups and if they care about your struggle? As long as you care about it. That's why we gotta stop being in competition with each other and being on the same team. Because that's what matters most. Just like Kendrick Johnson in Georgia. He beat that white kid up and all of a sudden he mysteriously gets killed and all his organs are gone and nobody can say nothing. And every judge that was on that case had to recuse themselves because of their relationship with that FBI agent. But nobody's talking about that. Google Kendrick Johnson. Georgia. Google him. That was horrible what happened to that brother. And then everybody in that school, everybody was on code. Nobody allegedly saw shit. And they knew that man had that man, the FBI agent, killed that boy, and his sons killed that boy, and everybody acting like ain't nothing happened. So I don't want to hear that shit. So we owe a lot more than what we're asking for. Really? And anytime you hear the dominant society bitch and complain, those are non-confident dominant society people who don't want black folk or anybody else to be equal to them. And they'll be jumping out of buildings and killing themselves because they like having, I would say, they like being welfare recipients, meaning racism, white supremacy is their welfare. That's their get out of jail free card. At the end of the day, they're always white. And that's the thing that they tout on. No matter the talent, no matter the capability and the wherewithal to handle business, do things, man, stop. The majority of these people that you see in charge of these corporations and all that, they have no talent, they just white. They're not smart. They're not more intelligent than you. That's why I don't, man, look, when I work at corporate plantations, I look at the motherfuckers upside their head. Hey, I remember, this was a minute ago, and this sister was like, hey, Warren, man, that's the manager. I was like, and? God damn. Because, we get the buck in our eyes when somebody comes. It is what it is, man. There's nothing else we can do but believe in ourselves. That's why it isn't just reparations that's owed us. So 40 acres and a mule is money. It's time and respect that we can't get back. The redlining, the gentrifying, the organ harvesting. You want us to donate organs, but y'all don't want to donate shit to us, and we waiting on the list for an organ for fucking 5, 6, 7 years, and y'all know we could have been died by then. That's why y'all do that to black folk. Stop. It's all, look, go watch The Matrix. Shout out to Sophia's store. Go watch The Matrix Reloaded. What did the Merovingian say? It is all a game. It is all a game. Everything begins with choice. No, it does not. Choice is an illusion between those with power and those without. Go watch that movie. Because at the end of the day, this is why we want it. We don't just want it so we can go floss and bullshit. Motherfucker, I would like to have our own doctors. I would like to have doctors that ain't gonna commit HIPAA violations. I would like to have our own foundational Black American doctors that's going to understand, like, hey man, I need you to take these herbs. I would like our natural herbalists to be taken serious and not treating them as they some witch doctors or some bullshit because it is anti-you-know-what. Remember that. Shout out to Layla Africa. I remember when before he left this earth and joined the ancestors, I remember he was talking about using, I'll never forget this shit. I was watching a video on him and he was talking about, hey man, don't be using that deodorant on your underarms because that's where your lymph nodes are. And you need to perspire. You need to use something that don't have none of that shit in there. And I ain't gonna lie, I stopped because it scared me because he was speaking matter-of-factly and I'm like, hey man, this is an elder. If anybody knows, he knows. So I stopped using that. I started, fuck that, I'll make a deodorant. Or go get Tariq Nasheed's root work deodorant or something. Like, don't use that shit, man. That's where your lymph nodes are. But these are just things that we have to understand and we gotta know. Remember that. But man, look, enjoy your time, enjoy your day at church. I'm not telling you not to go to church. I'm just saying when you at church, have these conversations. When you look, instead of gossiping about sister such and such and elders such and such and this bitch fucking the pastor and all this other stuff, why don't y'all have conversations about what is owed to foundational Black Americans? Because y'all know the only thing they let us own is a church. They ain't letting you own no bank. You don't own no credit unions. Look across the United States of America Incorporated and see how many black folk own credit unions and banks compared to the dominant society. And then flip-flop it and see how many niggas own churches. They'll let a nigga own the church. Go ahead, nigga. You can own the church, praise God. But can we own the bank, Mr. White Man? Oh, no, nigga. You better go praise God, but you ain't fuck with the money. And I rest my case. Leave your comments. I got love for everybody. Guilty, nigga. I'm out. Peace.
About to start another day. Hope it don't end the same way. About to start another day.